Junie B., first grader, one-man band. Chapter 3, more bad news. Mother came to get me from school that day. She said she would drive me and Sheldon home so we didn't have to take the bus. I walked to the parking lot very limping. Sheldon was still wearing the ice bag on top of his head. My, it must have been quite a day in room 1, said Mother. Sheldon did a sigh. I've had better, he said. After that, both of us got in the back seat and we buckled our seatbelts. Sheldon quick put his window down. Mother turned around. Gee, I don't know, Sheldon, she said. That's going to be a lot of wind on you, don't you think? I like wind, said Sheldon. Wind makes my cheeks flap. Mother stared at him a second. Okie doke, she said, kind of quiet. Then she turned back around and she started the car, and we drove out of the parking lot. Sheldon leaned his head close to the window, and he lifted his head into the rushy air. He opened his mouth so the wind flapped his cheeks. Both of us started to laugh. Only just then, a little bit of trouble happened, because Mother went around a corner kind of whizzy, and Sheldon's head got tilted even further, and whoosh! The ice bag flew right out the window. Sheldon sat very still after that. Finally, he closed the window and he drummed his fingers on the seat. Today isn't really going that good for me, he said. I nodded. Then I patted his arm, because sometimes I understand that boy perfectly well. That night, I tossed and turned in my bed, because my toe did not like things touching it, that's why. Not even the sheet. Only here is the worstest part of all. Because the next morning, when I took off my covers, my whole entire toenail was black. I did a scream at that terrible sight. Mother and Daddy came running. Junie B., what on earth is the matter? Said Mother. My toe is the matter! My toe is the matter! Look, look, look! I held up my foot for Mother to see. Oh my, she said. The doctor said this might happen. Your toenail has a bad bruise on it. I wrinkled my eyebrows at her. A bruise, I said. That's all it is? It's just a bruise? Mother nodded. Yes, it's just a bruise. But I'm afraid it's going to be a little painful to wear shoes for a while. Daddy sat down next to me. Don't worry, honey, he said. As soon as it grows out, it will look normal again. He pointed to his bare foot. Look at mine. I've bruised my big toenail many times over the years, but it's always grown out as good as new. See? He looked at it and made a face. Daddy's big toe is not attractive. Just then, tears came in my eyes. I touched my toe very gentle. Ow, ow. It hurts even worse than yesterday, I said. And so now what am I supposed to do? Because I don't even want to wear sandals to school again. On account of sandals don't protect toes from getting hurt. Mother thought for a minute. Then she went to my closet and she got out my old red sneakers and she cut a hole in the top of them with my scissors. She held it up for me to see. Ta-da! She said real singy. And what do you know? The hole was right where my sore piggy toe would be. Mother helped me put on my red socks and then she slid the holy sneaker on my foot very careful. And surprise! It didn't even hurt hardly. After breakfast, Mother drove me to school again. Only at first, when I went to my room, I felt kind of shy about my sneaker hole. And so I snuck to my seat and I showed it to my friend Herb in private. And guess what? Herb's whole face lighted up. A window, he said. You've got a window in your shoe. I did a giggle at that idea. Hey, yeah, I said. A piggy toe window. Just then, Sheldon came hurrying into room 1. He had a shiny red Band-Aid on his forehead. He stood in the front of the room and he pointed to it with his finger. No one touch this, please, he said real loud. He turned to Mr. Scary. Even though I came back to school today, I'm still not totally right up there. Mr. Scary nodded. Oh, yes, Sheldon. I'm very aware of that, he said. Sheldon kept on talking. I probably shouldn't play in the kickball tournament either. Because what if I'm standing at a home plate and a ball starts rolling at me and then it hits a rock and it bounces up and smacks me in the Band-Aid and I get a bump on top of my bump? He did a little shiver. Double bumps would not be good, he said. Mr. Scary looked at him. No, Sheldon, double bumps would not be good. But don't worry. Between now and then, I'm sure we can come up with something else you can do in the tournament. After that, Mr. Scary glanced over at me. And don't you worry either, Junie B. We'll think of something else you can do too. I raised my eyebrows up at that guy. Yeah, but I don't want to do something else, Mr. Scary. I want to play in the kickball game. I've been practicing really hard. Mr. Scary smiled, kind of sad. Yes, I'm sure you have, Junie B, he said. But your toe is already sore, and I doubt if you'll feel like kicking a ball with it by Friday. I sat there a minute, because I never even thought of that problem before. All of a sudden, my shoulders felt very slumping. I put my head on my desk, and I hid under my sweater, because now I would never be the star of the kickball tournament. And that had been the happiest dream of my life. Chapter 4, Choices. Tuesday. Dear First Grade Journal, recess was not fun today. I sat on the playground and I stared at my sore toe through my piggy toe window. Sheldon sat next to me. He kept on pressing on his red Band-Aid and saying, ouch. I told him, knock it off. I am not in a good mood. From Junie B, first grader. After I got done writing, I heard talking in front of the room. I looked up. Lucille was standing at Mr. Scary's desk. Camille and Chanel were standing there too. And all of them were blabbering at the exact same time. Mr. Scary covered his ears. Finally, he said, whoa, 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 at them. And he pointed for them to sit back down. After that, Mr. Scary stood up and he walked to the front of the room. Boys and girls, it has come to my attention that not everyone in room 1 wants to play in the kickball tournament, he said. His eyes glanced over to Camille and Chanel. It seems that 2 of our classmates would rather be cheerleaders, he said. And another one would like to be, this time his eyes glanced at Lucille. Homecoming queen, he said. Lucille sprang right up. No, princess, she called out. I want to be homecoming princess, Mr. Scary, not queen. Princesses are way cuter than queens. Plus, princesses aren't old. She looked at the children and fluffed herself. Wait till you see me, everyone. I'm going to have a beautiful float made out of pink rose petals, she said, and there will be a golden throne for me to sit on. She looked all around the room. Maybe a few of you girls might like to be my attendants, she said, but my Nana will have to look you over first. Mr. Scary went to the sink in the back of the room, and he took an aspirin. Room 1 started buzzing about Lucille. Then, some of the children started thinking about different jobs they would like to do for the tournament. Hey, maybe I can be the game announcer on the loudspeaker, said Roger. And after the game, I can pour root beer on all the winners. Yeah, said Shirley, and I could sell Rice Krispie treats. My mother says those things are all profit. And just then, May jumped up. And I could do crowd control, she called out, because I already have a badge at home. And so all I need is a big stick to poke people with. And a gas mask. Mr. Scary took another aspirin. Then he walked back to his desk and he took a deep breath. Okay, here's the best I'm going to do for you guys, he said. I will give everyone in here 2 choices of jobs. You can either play in the game as part of the team or you can be a cheerleader. But that's it. That's my best offer. Lucille stood up at her desk. She flounced her dress, very upset, and then she plopped back down again. After that, Sheldon stood up too, and he pointed to his Band-Aid. But what about this, Mr. Scary? Have you forgotten about my injury, he said. I can't play in the game, remember? And cheerleading is just for girls. Mr. Scary frowned. Well, that's not actually true, Sheldon. Lots of colleges have male cheerleaders. But since you and Junie B both have injuries, I'll let you two pick different jobs to do in the tournament, okay? That would only be fair. Sheldon looked relieved. Yes, he said. I was hoping you'd say that, because I already know what I'm going to do. He quick climbed on his chair and made an announcement. I'm going to do a halftime show. Mr. Scary grabbed him and put him back in his seat. A halftime show, he said, kind of curious. Sheldon nodded real fast. Yes, because my dad used to play the cymbals in his high school band, and he already taught me how. Plus, he still has his band uniform, so my mother can fix it to fit me. And then I can march and play the cymbals like a real professional band guy. Sheldon clapped his hands together. And wait, here's another idea. Maybe I can sing too. Because I heard some songs at Christmas time, and my dad says I can almost carry a tune. Mr. Scary smiled. You know what, Sheldon? I think that's a fine idea, he said. In fact, I think a little halftime entertainment would be excellent. Sheldon clapped some more. Mr. Scary smiled again. Then he raised his eyebrows and he looked back at me. So, Junie B, what do you think? If Sheldon does a halftime show, would you like to be in it too? I bet playing an instrument wouldn't be too hard on your sore toe, and I'm sure Sheldon would be happy to have another band member. I did a loud groan, and then I put my head back on my desk and I covered up with my sweater again. Chapter 5 is called Lemonade.
But you